Okay, this is interesting, recording with the music in the background while I talk, but here we are. Hello, guys. Tyler's back. Hold on. Oh, Chloe, it's fine. Can't wait to tell you guys about that when that comes around, if I make a video about that. But today is not a video about my skin. Rather, this is a video about my experience with Friren Beyond the Journey's End. And this is going to be my initial thoughts. Maybe I'd name it as a review, something along those lines. I'd say more initial thoughts because I don't feel I'm in any place to review the piece of art that Friren is. So, of course, before I start delving into Friren and how much I like it and just raving about the show, I will first give a very rough synopsis of the show's first season so far. So the show revolves around an elf, which elves are near immortal in this world. Okay, regardless, there is an elf named Friren who gets trained in the magical arts of, well, magic. And eventually she gets picked up by Himmel the hero, who goes on a fantastical journey with her. And during this journey, she gets to know the people along the journey for a long while, though it wouldn't be long for her because she lives long. Eventually, that group, the majority of the group members, pass away, and she ends up realizing that she never got to know the people that she should have, or she shouldn't. She never got to know those people as she should have when she was on that journey. So, on her next journey to try and meet them again in the afterlife, she instills many of the different prodigies from that main group with her on her journey all the way to the edge of the continent to talk to her dead friends, basically. And already, again, everyone said this, so I'm not going to butcher it to death. But it is a very interesting concept to have an anime be taking place after the hero's journey. And that's always been a question, even for myself, that I've asked during my just time on Earth. It's just that after you're done your main goal in life, what do you do and where do you go? And I've already expressed this sentiment in a ton of videos in the past, talking about how I already felt like my main path is done and that all this is just added, like, flavoring to an already great dish of life. But really, what Free Rent is teaching me and what it makes me realize is that, whoa, despite this running at 60, it still runs perfectly fine. There goes my wifey in the group chat. But in any case, what I mean to say is that what am I gonna say? What I mean to say is that oh my god, I lost my train of thought. Is that this show was perfect in the time that I got it in my life, because for years now I've been asking, where do I go? What brings the same excitement as that original journey? And Freerun showed me that it may never be like the original journey. As a matter of fact, it may be quieter, it may be calmer. You may not experience those same feelings you once experienced with your previous journey. But what does matter is whether or not this journey you're on right now is fulfilling enough. Because in the end, it may just be as fulfilling as the journey you were on previously. You just don't know yet. And I feel like that's the biggest thing, is that when it comes to Frieren, the character especially, the way she views life previously was that since her lifespan is so long, she shouldn't get attached to anything because everything will go away. But then again, there's a foil to that concept, which is that because everything is fleeting and everything may go away, that's why you need to cherish every day. And that's especially what Freeren's looking to do on her journey now. And little does she know, obviously, this is like parasocial shit, but little does she know that her new journey is being watched by millions of people. But obviously, there's no meta concept in the show. Hold on, hold on. Sorry about that. Need the help downstairs. But basically, what it comes down to, I think I lost my train of thought, was that rerun really showed up when I needed it the most. Which is, I hope to not make this seem so parasocial, but I really enjoyed the anime, and I think for me to give a review, I should give all my thoughts out on the anime at once, right now. So, I picked up Frieren on the way to my trip to Vancouver with my partner, and this was when I had no preconceived idea of what Frieren is, except for watching some cosplayer at a convention say that it should have won over Solo Leveling for last year's anime of the year, which already to me was nuts. Because to me, Solo Leveling was so peak. It was peak, man. It was peak. So I was like, okay, so this anime about a elf and just two other characters is supposed to beat out a show where we watched this guy for years develop into one of the strongest slayers in his verse or whatever the hell. So already I was going in being very skeptical because I was like, how the hell is this supposed to beat Solo Leveling? And so the first two episodes go by, and immediately I see Friren mourning her lost friends. And I go, I didn't even know these fucking people. Like, I was like heard throughout the story. I was like, what the fuck? Like, why do I care? Little did I know I would really care. But the first two episodes I wasn't sold, so I kept watching. And I think it was episode 6 where one of the main characters' character arcs gets, like, started, I guess you could say. One of the main characters has to defeat a dragon, and he does so after several bouts of fear and him being very similar to his master, which Friren had known. That character specifically, I guess I should name him, that character Stark is very, very similar to me. Very similar. And I share a lot of personality traits with Stark, so it was really nice to see him, not so much just be the cowardice character of the story, but being the cowardice with layers. Him not just being scared like Zenitsu and going into a coma and then battling. More so him being like, okay, I'm scared, but I'm going to push through my fear. And that's what I loved about Stark's character and his eventual fights moving forward. But that's when I started getting sold on the characters, and I was like, okay, I'm kind of interested in this. And then by episode 12, when I think Stark had another battle where he triumphantly won, I would go, yeah, I love this anime. And then by the end, I'd say I was completely in love, but the last arc wasn't so interesting to me, the exam arc. But besides that, the first arc of Frieren Beyond Journey's End was absolute perfection to me and made me cry at so many different points. Because just how I said earlier, how I wasn't as invested in these characters as Frieren would have been when she was on the journey, eventually you start seeing the flashbacks of these characters, and you start seeing why these characters are so important to Frieren. And as that goes down, you end up realizing how important these characters were to her. And these characters, these past characters who have majority have been deceased, are just as impactful to the viewing experience or the watching experience of Frieren as the current characters. And I feel like that's really important because it gets us into Friren's mind and makes us understand. I can completely see why Frieren values these people and calls these people her close friends and wants to see them again. And the majority of the cast that she brings along, the apprentices of hers, and on her hero's journey, are apprentices of her old friends. Like Stark is a apprentice of one of her old friends. Same thing with the secondary character Fern. And these three characters all have their own reasons to go meet with their masters in the afterlife, to discuss with them the amazing journeys they went on, and just fulfill their arcs with their masters. From there, we wouldn't know where they would go. But I think that's the same thing Frieren would have thought when she completed her first journey. I think that's what it comes down to, is that when it comes to our own life's journeys, it's that just like Frieren, we may go on amazingly exciting journeys where all the accolades and titles are in our names, and we completely take over the world, but we won't always take over the world. We won't always be in the zeitgeist. We won't always be the most popular. And we have to enjoy the moment while it still stands. And once that moment's over, you may never get something like that again. But what you will get are journeys just as fulfilling for you as it would have been beforehand in other characters. Man, just listening to the soundtrack just makes me want to cry. But yeah, this anime made me cry. This anime made me cry. It made me cry so hard on the way home from dropping off my girlfriend on a date because this anime brought feelings up to me in my like soul and my mind that I repressed for so long. Actually, I totally would unmute the music, but I know it's copyrighted. But it's like I completely avoided the fact that I have to restart a whole new journey now and completely accepted that maybe my journey will never be as exciting as it was previously. But I'm realizing now that despite me not going to the clubs and me not being that popular in the mosh pit space and all that shit anymore, it doesn't really matter. Because I have people that I'm going to call my friends. People I'm going to be with pretty much till the day I die, and my group will ever be expanding of great, honest, amazing people that I wouldn't trade the world for. Or trade anything in the world for. But yeah, I can go on forever about how important Friren is to me, but I don't even know what else to specifically talk about. There's so much to. That's the problem. Like the music, absolutely beautiful, completely orchestric. I think completely. I want to say harmonized, but like inducted, I guess, by Evan Call. If I'm correct, I'm checking the page right now on Spotify. It doesn't say anything about him. Yeah, so he's a. It's orchestrated by Evan Call. That's it, which is absolutely beautiful to me. Absolutely gorgeous, and I can't lie. It completely adds and complements the story so well, and especially with the he leading to more more orchestrated music instead of anything else. It obviously fits with the medieval setting, but as well, you can it can be used at its own advantage because let's say someone like Stark ends up murdering a dragon. You can have the tempo rise and fall with not hi hats, but with like drums and shit. Like, sorry, I'm so bad. I haven't studied music in forever. I really need to get my game back up. But my whole point here is that I do. I just love the music and I love the show. I don't even know what to say. Honestly, if I were to give it a review, it's already 10 out of 10. Like I think it's perfect. Like I genuinely think the show is perfect. What else could I say? Oh, the art and the art direction and animation style is perfect. Madhouse did an absolutely great, or is it either Toho or Madhouse? They both did. Either one did a great job with the animation. The fight scenes are absolutely gorgeous. It looks like they're about to blow up out of my screen. And just the line work also is amazing and awesome. Man, there's nothing in this show that I have really to complain about so far besides the exam arc, which the exam arc is when the trio takes a backseat and they have to go through a bunch of different training and whatnot to proceed in their story. But it's not fun. Like to me, it's not that fun because we're introduced to a lot of new characters that don't supplement Friren's story very well. And I'm given backstories from the majority of these characters, don't get me wrong, these new characters, but at the same time, it's like, this is not connected to what the story's about at all. But in some ways it is because Friren's getting to know these people and she's using the opportunity to get to know people more deeply rather than superficially than she did with her initial group. And even then, it's like, what we've seen from the flashbacks, Frieren seemed to have been really, really happy in her original party as well, just as much as she was in her current party. And I don't know. I think what it comes down to is that despite all my rambling, it's that Frieren answers a question to me that I've been asking for years, which is now that I've made significant progress in my life with friends, with my partner, with my mental health, where do I go? Obviously, I have bigger goals, but nothing as big and grandiose as the party was for Frieren, as the hero's journey for Frieren. I had my hero's journey, but it seems like my hero's journey has come to an end, which it's sad, but at the same time, it's making me realize that you never know how the journey's going to go until you reach the end of the journey, and that's when things start changing. Because to me, growing up, I always wanted to have friends, a girlfriend, and whatnot. But I think I felt very similar to how I feel now. Obviously, a lot more upset. Don't get me wrong, a lot more upset. But I think what it comes down to is that you never know how the experience is going to go until the end. Maybe eventually, Stark and Ferns and Friren's name get more popular again, and it's the people from the hero's journey are going to go back to talk to the heroes or something like that, and then they can get the same notoriety. Who knows? But the point is that you never know what the journey is going to be like in the end until you're at the end. Like, I don't even know how else to say it, but that's really all it comes down to, is that Frieren has answered a personal question I've been asking myself for ages. It's a 10 out of 10 anime. It's not for everybody, but if you're into not slow burn, I guess slow burn. If you're into slow burns and more story-driven narratives rather than, the flashier animation, which happens, but if you're more into the story and character development of characters and being, like, emotionally struck in by characters, this is going to be the show for you. This show is gorgeous. It's amazing. Anyways, I think this will be the end of the video for me. Like, comment, subscribe, all that nonsense. You know how it goes. If anything else comes along anime related, I'll give it a review if I enjoy it or whatnot. Anyways, I love y'all. Peace out.